What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. We're back doing another preview video for the Autumn Internationals. This one is going to be between England and Tonga. This is where we chuck on a game of Rugby 20 in the background, and then over the top we talk about the official teams that have been named, who we think is going to do well, who we think might do badly, and finally give a score prediction. Now, England aren't licensed in this game, so we're going to play as my created England team. They're rated slightly lower, that way makes the game a little bit more interesting in the background for you. But there's going to be a lot to talk about in this game, so let's get this game kicked off and underway. Alrighty, George Ford is going to get us kicked off and underway. We'll start out to the right in this video. I fancy we're playing in the rain today. I mean, the Tongans probably not used to a whole bunch of rain in Twickenham, but there we go. Right, we got this underway now. So, let's having a look at this game now. Tonga and England. This is going to be probably one of the easier opening games, I imagine, for the international sides. Of course, we did see Scotland versus Tonga last week. I was unfortunately unable to actually catch all of the game. I went to go see the Wales versus New Zealand game live. I have done a vlog for that one for anyone who wants to go check out that. And while I was in the stadium, they did have the Scotland-Tonga game on. I got to see the first half of it, but unfortunately it went through pretty quickly and they didn't show the second half. So I haven't been able to catch up completely on what happened with Tonga. But as far as I'm aware, it was a bit of a decimation, unfortunately. Scotland looking to run that over. England had a subpar Six Nations, I think it's fair to say, but looking ahead towards the summer internationals, they actually had a couple of decent games for them. Bit of a second string team really trying to get through those summer internationals, and a lot of these players going off with the Lions as well. So Eddie Jones has been there hacking away at his team. Of course, we did the team reaction when it was first announced, and I was a little bit worried they might be a little bit low on the ground for this one, but coming up against Tonga first, I was expecting a B team anyway to be coming up for this England side. But Eddie Jones, being the way Eddie Jones does, he has surprised us all a little bit again. So let's check the team on screen for you guys. Starting off in this front row, Ellis Genge, Jamie George and Kyle Sinclair. What a powerful front row. This was quite surprising to me. Again, the Tongans are quite big on their scrummaging and their mauls. They've got a lot of weight, a lot of size. Unfortunately, the money that's in Tonga isn't quite the same as places like England and France. So rugby is probably a little bit more lax, and they're definitely beginning to near now towards the bottom end of Tier 2, maybe even Tier 3 now, unfortunately, for Tonga. But they play with a lot of heart, a lot of passion, and there's still a lot of big boys on that team. So definitely getting those scrums, so having a strong front row is probably a good marker for England here. Towards the lock department, Maro Itoje and Johnny Hill, both of whom went off with the Lions. And actually, I would probably say had a better series with the Lions than they did with England. I think Maro Itoje was definitely penalised a lot in a couple of their games for how many penalties he was giving away, and Johnny Hill playing a fairly average Six Nations for me personally. So they went on that Six Nations tour, out on the Lions tour, sorry, and they went and played South Africa. They definitely had a couple of good games in the club levels there as well. The line-outs for England, they like to have a good platform. They like the line-out to work. They like having the driving mauls if they can get them. But more so what we see from England so often is launching an attack from a platform, and normally having a line-out success is what gives you that. Maro Itoje and Johnny Hill, between the two of them, are two pretty dependable locks. Moving back towards the back three then. So Courtney Laws, Sam Underhill and Tom Curry. Now this is a mix that we're beginning to see a little bit more commonly now. It's nice to see that Courtney Laws is getting back in the side. Courtney Laws is playing good rugby at the minute. Again, can play lock, can play flanker, but again, another option in the line-outs for them. So I imagine in this game you might be seeing England putting a lot of pressure on that line-out, and probably in the scrum as well, but that line-out especially. Three key jumpers there for England. I think it could be a real target for them. Sam Underhill at 7. Personally like him at 6 more than 7, but Courtney Laws doesn't really tend to play 7 a lot, so you'd probably have Sam Underhill there. Sam Underhill, a very good player. It was nice to see him come back in. He's superb in terms of jackling and tackling rates, are absolutely brilliant. And finally, Tom Curry, I give a lot of praise to. Actually, I really like Tom Curry. I think he's a superb player. Can play 6, 7 or 8. Again, personally prefer him in the 7. I think he can be a little bit elucidated. It looks like he feels a little bit lost. But he does play, decent enough. It's Tom Curry. He's always going to have a relatively good game. Even for for him, a bad game is still quite a good game for some other players. So as a 1 to 8, you'd see this in a Six Nations. I mean, I wonder actually how many difference you'd probably see this to a World Cup team. In all honesty, there's probably not a lot of changes there. It's certainly a good front 8. They're certainly looking to bring power and caps and talent to that front set of 8. So they haven't gone for a B team at all, really. There, they've obviously given Tonga a bit of respect, thinking that they're going to put on a big enough team. It also helps to get some of your lads on the pitch and give them a bit of game time before playing some of the bigger games they've got coming up with the likes of South Africa for that World Cup replay game. So let's have a look at the backs. Ben Young's in at 9 and Owen Farrell in at 10. There was a lot of talk leading up to this autumn series about whether you'd have Owen Farrell and Marcus Smith playing alongside each other, which, you know, I think it could potentially work. Marcus Smith tended to play 10. He didn't have a bad... I've only really seen him play about 3 games, and he's been perfectly fine in all of them. So I'm looking forward to seeing a bit more from Marcus Smith. I actually kind of would have liked to have seen Marcus Smith in this game more than Owen Farrell. This is a game to get confidence boost from. I would unimaginably doubt this would probably be an England win this game either way. So it would have been nice to see Marcus Smith get in there, maybe have a bit of a confidence boost just to get more into this England team. Moving towards the other centres then, Manu Tuilagi in at 12. Nice to see that name back in the team. There's a name you haven't seen in an England shirt for a little while now. And Henry Slade in that outside centre channel. Henry Slade was one of the few I gave praise to after the Six Nations for England, and I don't think he got a great deal of game time for the summer. We saw a lot more of like Ollie Lawrence trying to get in there now. They're definitely looking around those centres. When I think back to centres, I have Manu Tuilagi down as an outside centre more than an inside. Someone who knows a little bit more about English club level might be able to correct me there and say whether he tends to play there. I'm so used to seeing Owen Farrell at 12. I know Henry Slade can play both 12 and 13. I thought maybe Tuilagi would tend to go more as a 13, but he does pick some great lines and is a hard boy to stop once he gets his feet underway. So I'm sure that centre partnership will be looking to carve open some lines. If you've got any bets on, that's probably where you could see quite a few tries coming in. And finally, this back 3, Johnny May taking over that 11 shirt, Adam Radwan, and Freddie Stewart. So, slightly more experimental. Radwan is, I only really got to know a little bit more from seeing him in the summer games. Got a good speed to him, looking like he's going to be pacey. So, I would say probably what we're seeing from these back through here is just pure speed, which against Tonga is probably going to be a good way. As soon as you find any gap in that Tongan defensive line, you can probably run forwards and make some real headway. Freddie Stewart, I think they're still struggling in that fullback position, trying to find someone they want to get towards that World Cup. Who's going to be the first choice fullback? There's an awful lot of switching. I mean, Elliot Daly's playing all right at centre, but for me, not doing too well at fullback recently. George Furbank's another one they keep putting there. Freddie Stewart's going to come in as well now. So a couple of different names, so it'll be interesting to see how we get on there. We are quite deep into the second half as we see Johnny May having a lovely little run around the outside here. I wonder if we'll be seeing that on any of the game in real life. So let's have a quick look at the subs. So Jamie Wilmere, Joe Marler and Stewart are going to be coming on at some time. Probably they might even play a 40-minute half and then do a full sub just to get more lads in game time. I don't see any reason this needs to go to be a 60-minute front row swap. I think maybe a 40, maybe a 50-minute swap would be where that would come in. I imagine the Tongan team will slowly begin to get tired there. Charlie Ewells and Alex Dornbrandt will be coming in as well at some point. It'd be nice to see them. Mitchell's not a name standing out too much to me. Unfortunately, we don't have anything on the graphic here just to get a first name. Mitchell could be anyone to me. Unfortunately, that's not someone I know a lot about. So make sure you drop down in the comments a little bit more about Mitchell for me. And in the backs here, we've got Marcus Smith coming in that 22 shirt and George Furbank, who I mentioned before. So, you know, in terms of coverage, there's potentially a bit of room here. I guess if Marcus Smith comes on at 10, Owen Farrell could slide into that 12 position. You could remove a centre. You could even take Henry Slade off and move Tuilagi to the 13. And then George Furbank. I assume Freddie Stewart's also comfortable playing wing if you really wanted him to. I believe George Furbank can also do fly half. I think I'm correct saying that. So they've got a little bit of malleability in that back row. But certainly a big 23-man team coming on here. They are not holding back any punches. I feel a little bit sorry for Tonga already because I could see this game beginning to get a little bit out of hand because we've seen, of course, that Scotland game. Scotland looking pretty demolishing. And that wasn't even a top-tier Scotland team. This looks like a relatively decent England team. So, talking to Tonga, we're coming near to the end of the game. So what I'll do for you guys, as we did last week, I'm going to chuck the Tongan team on screen. It is, of course, in this spreadsheet format before. If you ever want to show that there is a slight discrepancy in terms of money and in terms of backing in the world of international rugby, Tonga have to release theirs on a spreadsheet rather than like a really cool infographic, which is a bit of a shame. But there's a couple of new caps in there as well, people making their debut. Tonga by no means at full strength, so it's certainly going to be a tough game for them. There's not a lot of names that I know. Like I said, unfortunately I wasn't able to catch that Scotland-Tonga game. I will hopefully be able to catch the England-Tonga game so I can learn a little bit more about Tonga and show off some knowledge on some players for the next video. But Yeah, I think Tonga are going to get into a very difficult game here. In terms of a score prediction, I mean, it's got to be called an England win. I think most people would tend to call it an England win for this game, and it's by how much, and it's quite difficult to come up with actually. We saw in the summer games that England played both Canada and the USA, I believe, and they had a bit of a tough game against the USA, and USA tend to have got run over a little bit in the last 6 months or so. Canada, they look pretty dominant over, but there's been a lot of, I would say, first string players being re-added into this team. Tonga struggling against even a bit of a second string Scotland team. I'm going to go for an England win. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a really big score here, actually. I might even say I'm going to have England to win by 50. Is that too harsh? I don't know. Maybe I've overcalled this quite a lot. If they score more than I've scored in the actual game in the background here, that might be a surprise, but I just don't think England are going to hold back any punches. I think they're going to go in and just sort of put down a bit of a demonstration game. But of course, guys, I am but one man on the internet talking nonsense about rugby. So make sure you drop down in the comments what you guys think. Who do you think is going to win? How much do you think they're going to win by? I imagine there'll be a lot of England support there in terms of having a win. But how much do you think they'll win by? Of course, we are doing the Super Brew app for anyone joined in with that you can get in and put down your predictions on there, because it's always a lot of fun to get involved with the group. If you've enjoyed this video today, guys, make sure to drop it a like and make sure to subscribe to the channel just to keep up to date with all the latest videos as they come out. We are, of course, going to be doing one of these preview videos for all of the Autumn Internationals as they are going on, so make sure you hit that subscribe button and that bell notification just so you know as soon as the video comes up. But I hope you've all enjoyed today, guys. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.